Welcome back to the North American LCS Spring Finals. TSM, you're ready to rock. They have chosen red side, and also Cloud9 to put Ray back into the lineup. So similar to game one as far as lineups and sides are concerned. And of course, we've also chosen to bring maybe an even better analyst onto the desk. I hope they get your name right. I apologize if it's wrong. Rami Inori Shara. Close, completely wrong.
Better than most.
Better than most. I should have asked you during the commercial break, and I apologize.
That. Better than most.
Better than most. I'm okay with that. That sounds like my life. Now, of course, before we get into the game, let's check in on some of your responses to how you LCS at home or here in Vancouver. Cloud9 is receiving some energy from @OneBrightLeaf, who says, Reaper carry, please, and plenty of people here to join as well.
I mean, if Hanser said he can play carries better than Ray, tanks better than Impact, can he play better than Reaper if Reaper comes back in?
We'll see what happens. Of course, next up is @Amelia in Detroit, carrying on the proud tradition of cheering for TSM, where they aren't playing at the Joe Louis Arena. That means looking into
viewing party?
I would assume so.
I would assume so. Nice.
There's statues in the background. All right, and finally, everyone's favorite @LCS Pigeon found a fan who came prepared for today's game.
He was back in here a second ago. I saw that pigeon
sighting.
We brought reinforcements this time.
Inori, any thoughts on the pigeon?
It's P1 Pigeon all the way.
P1 pigeon.
You tweeted it was like flying over you.
Yeah, I was
game.
sitting there and I would always see it like fly over. So like as I was dead, I would just watch the pigeon harass people in the stands. It was pretty good. I liked it.
I'm glad you did. Well, that's going to be it for that one. Of course, this game 3 coming up. We haven't gotten your thoughts on it yet. Talk to me about what you've seen so far and what you think is coming into game 3.
I came to this desk for the reverse sweep.
Okay.
And I believe in Cloud9.
All right. Perfect. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if C9 can bring home game 3. Let's send it down to the casters.
Welcome back, everyone, to game 3 of Cloud9 versus TSM. It's been a tough start for Cloud9 here, and that's a pretty gross understatement. The fastest game ever in an NA LCS Finals was game 2. And Cloud9, we're going to use the word again, time to reset once more.
I think it's fair to say TSM is playing better than most. They're looking incredibly good in the first 2 games.
Fastest win in NA LCS Finals history was their Game 2 victory over C9. It's prompted another roster swap by C9. They're putting Ray back in. They figured the ban 4 carries to put a tank versus tank matchup and still lose it wasn't worth it. So they're going to swap it back again this time. And you can see I actually don't see them in their chairs right now, so they may be a little late getting back to stage. They have a lot to recover from. After those defeats, you could see the player shots right after the game. Contracts looked a little out of sorts. He's been pretty much invisible in this series, and you can say that about pretty much everyone on C9.
I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of pressure on Ray and Contracts, I think, in particular, in this game. They have to win 3 straight to have a chance in this series, and, you know, Double is talking about it on the desk. Give the C9 bot lane something that can kind of succeed on their own, that doesn't need follow-up or doesn't need a gank, doesn't need help. Allow them to try to make something happen, and we'll see if they are going to go back for that.
All right, Cloud9 walking in. You can see still all smiles. Going to have to make sure everyone's mentality stays healthy. And that's kind of the thing for me is when I think of leaders on this team, I think of Smoothie, absolutely big vocal voice. Impact, I know, was a huge presence for the team last split in summer. And Reaper is definitely a guy that can get behind the teams. He's a pro player. He's been there before. He knows how much it sucks to lose. So C9 need to group together and kind of get that leadership going and just play together as best they can.
They do, but it is a bit of a concern for me, you know, looking at Jensen too. This is a guy who has been compared to Bjergsen his entire career, who wants so badly to prove that he is the better player. And, you know, last year in Toronto, seeing how devastated he was after their loss there, seeing how affected he was after a missed dive on Bjergsen in game 2. Can he recover and actually bounce back in a way that he needs to?
And it's tough not to kind of relive those emotions when you have another high-profile miss when the game goes awry. You can see the crowd still cheering him back onto the stage. Plenty of C9 fans in attendance right now. You have to look at the other side with TSM right now, and this is when the killer instinct has to kick in. You just had the fastest win in NALCS Finals history and beaten C9 worse than you've almost ever beaten them with any of your lineups. So TSM, 1 game away, need to just continue their groove of what they've had so far this series.
Yep, and for Cloud9, stop the bleeding. Get a game on the board, kind of really boost that mentality up, saying, okay, we can win. This is within reach for us. There's a reason we always say we've got a series when both teams have won a game. It's because a team doesn't really feel like they're in it until they've actually proved to themselves, we can beat this team.
And I feel like Cloud9 needs to slow things down a little bit in the game, get through a few minutes without a disaster happening, and regain some of their confidence, because this is a team that was very competitive with TSM throughout the split. They smashed them in their first meeting. The second one was a very close series. They certainly can match up against TSM, but they haven't been able to today.
Exactly. They can in the NA LCS studio. Playing in the finals, no matter where it is, always has a different energy about it. And that's when you talk about clutch players. And these are the moments that people really remember. I mean, Doublelift mentioned at the very start of the day, you can have a split worth of good plays, but people will only remember your bad plays in the final. One bad play can undo all of that. So that's what C9 kind of has to deal with. And it's not over yet. If you get a reverse sweep, no one remembers those first 2 games. It's all about the next 3 that you win.
That's true. Like Jensen said, it's just all about, no one cares about second. It's just about winning. However, we are going to toss it back over the analyst desk before we get our game underway.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. Yes, I wanted more time in the light here. We kicked Zyrene up. I kicked him off because he was right about his analysis that Ray was coming in. And
He predicted Cloud9 to win, though. Not looking too good.
reverse sweep, and Nori was calling it. So we're going to wait till that happens. So let's talk about the fact that Ray is back in. And Nori, to start with you, I actually don't know if you played against him. I forget when he subbed in against you or not. But talk to me about what you know of Ray's impact. What do you think about him coming in here?
Carry player. He has a lot of strengths in 1v1 duels, and he's definitely very skilled. He's super high rank in Challenger ladder as well.
He's #1 by a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Impact's more of that like tank player. He's consistent. He has like good showings, and I think if you want like to make the comeback happen, you put in Ray. You make him go for like the carry champ and just go hard. And also, Hanser's been performing really well, so I think Ray needs to kind of go hard and step it up this game and just go for like the hard win.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to find, some positives for Cloud9 in this stomp so far, Ray actually had a lot of good dodges early on. As far as laning mechanics, his laning mechanics were quite good, but he could not handle the rest of TSM. And pretty much every single member of TSM right now is absolutely crushing. I mean, up in the top side, Hanser, Bjergsen in mid lane, and even Turtle is getting 2v2 kills and absolutely going off as well. So there are a lot of things that have to go right for... There's one of them.
Sign.
Are you going to lend the P1 Pigeon over to Cloud9 to help out the reverse sweep?
I told him to go to the Cloud9 side to bless Cloud9 players. Hopefully he can give us some good luck, and we can see this reverse sweep happen.
There you go. Get the entire stadium behind you with that.
Absolutely. Now, and I have another question I want to bring up to you. The thought of a player being on form for a day, so far the C9 bot lane has lost pretty hard, even in matchups where maybe they're supposed to win. Do you think that Sneaky Smoothie will continue to perform badly, or can you just turn it around between a game and get back on the form you're supposed to be at?
I definitely think they're really good players, and they can always make the turnaround. I believe in them. I think if they really pull it together and they go hard, they can definitely make this game happen.
Okay, well, we'll see if that happens. Now, we are going to be getting into Champion Select. That will be starting in just a second here. And as it does, we will let the casters take it away. The decision will happen after Champ Select begins, and we will see what these picks and bans end up being as the Champ Select starts. So thinking about what might you see picked or banned away from these guys?
I think Hanser, I think they banned 5 top laners last game.
Yeah.
Didn't really work out. Maybe they should try switching that to maybe mid lane, focus on mid lane bans. That'd probably help out more.
And we'll see what happens. Casters, take it away.
Thank you very much. Here, we're going to get into Champ Select for this last one. I think it does start in the draft for Cloud9. We've heard it from multiple people on the analyst desk. Just pick yourself some safe lanes, try and slow down the game, and play to your strengths. Cloud9's early game has been not real good this season long, but their mid and late has been excellent.
And another thing working against them is that TSM gets red side. That is their selection once again, and that is where they are going to be most comfortable.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of opportunities to pick a power pick in the top lane as well as being able to counterpick that bottom lane. The Ivern ban, though, will block the strategy that TSM used in Game 1, where they could have the Karma and the Ivern shields to empower their top laner. But we also have to note, no Camille ban, so definitely still a possibility.
Well, we'll see what TSM respond with here. Lulu answered by Karma and Lee Sin with a mix of junglers and actually top laners and carries banned out in those first 6.
And Sven's Lee Sin is actually, in my opinion, his best champion. This guy is an absolute monster on Lee Sin.
Yep.
Already had a name for himself and then was crushing it in Worlds. Has looked very good on the Lee Sin all season long.
And you also have to note, I feel like the top 4 junglers for these guys, Rengar, Graves, Lee Sin, almost in that order. Kha'Zix is, I think, a fair bit below Lee Sin as far as the tier list for these guys, even though Contracts had so many games on it in the regular season. That was before the substantial nerf, so not the best situation for Contracts to be going in for, and they'd have to pick it right here.
Well, they are going to take it by the looks of things here. There's actually Syndra and Kha'Zix locked in, so I actually do like this for Jensen. Yes, there are risks with blind picking on mid lane, and Syndra does have some counter picks. Bjergsen actually going to take Ari, so probably a matchup that's very skill-oriented. But Jensen, he's just saying, I'm confident in this pick. Let me play it. I can win this game.
Yeah, and absolutely no hesitation for Bjergsen with his pick. You knew coming into this, both mid laners were incredible Syndra players, and both guys needed to prepare counters for it because it wasn't necessarily going to be drawing bans with all the other priorities. So we got to see Jensen nearly getting that solo kill, then Syndra took over. Now it's Bjergsen's turn.
And Syndra has actually been one of the most dominant champions for Jensen throughout the season. He was around 8-2, I do believe, on the champion. Extremely strong showings, and I think that it is something that if he can get going, he can completely take over a game. Double have said, get him back on a mage, get him something that he is looking comfortable on, and we'll see if this is going to be it.
Yeah, Jensen is actually undefeated 6-0 so far on the Syndra.
Well, you can see AD carries actually getting banned out here. Lucian and Caitlyn for TSM and Cloud9 respectively. So a lot of attention towards the second half of those bottom lanes with the support picks. This does make some sense, especially given how warped the draft's kind of become with these early mid lane picks. But again, C9 saying give our players champions we're comfortable on. TSM are just reacting here.
Yeah, this to me is TSM still taking the best available AD and then waiting for the counter pick in the top lane.
We'll see what happens with this second ban. TSM running down the clock for it. Kennen taken away from, I assume, Ray, but of course can be flexed somewhere else if Sneaky has had practice in the bottom lane with it. And C9, if the trend holds, maybe look to continue taking down bot laners, but Shen instead taken out from Hauntzer.
One thing that is available that Ray has been known to play is the J4. Definitely something that can be very strong. It's actually pretty popular in top lane lately. I've seen it in a number of regions with actually a W max, more of a tanky style. And that can work out pretty well.
I believe
But
Ray
Whale is available again, so they better have something ready.
Well, there's the Camille for Hauntzer. Going to save Turtle's pick for last there. Ray was doing a lot of that as well with the W max, so should have experience there.
Yeah, lately I've seen the Renekton picked against it, but you got to think that C9 would have been ready for that, especially when they throw the Caitlyn ban in there and then ban a tank away. So interesting how TSM here just saying Camille into whatever you got, Ray, after only banning the Kennen.
Top lane Fizz may be the answer. Renekton can match up with Camille pretty well early, but you do eventually get outscaled. This is going to be a nice choice here for Ray.
Well, Cloud9 looking in that Fizz, and now with one more to go to round out their comp, do need a bot laner for themselves. So we'll see exactly what happens here. And going to take something away here from Turtle, who's also waiting on his pick.
And one of the benefits of the top lane Fizz is since he's so mobile with Playful Trickster, a lot of people end up taking Ignite on that pick. And when you're in the melee versus melee matchup like that, it does limit a lot of the options that the other top laner can have against you, because if you're winning all of those, it's very difficult for the other guy to farm.
And even just for the early ganks, it can set up dives, it can make things like that pulled off very easily, and it also is pretty threatening to AD carries with lower mobility, such as the Jinx. If that does get locked in, I'm not sure that we will actually see it, but if you don't have a dash, Fizz really can prey on those AD carries.
Oh my god. I mean, five effective bot lane bans here by Cloud9, with Ezreal being taken away. I mean, I think Turtle's having some fun. He's going to play Varus as a champion. He's got a lot of experience on. And if we do look towards that top lane matchup, Inori mentioned it on the desk, Ray, the kind of player that can take over a game and carry, and this is a carry-style champion. Wants to go back on that Camille. He has only lost 2 games this season on that champion, so going to be a tough one, certainly. But if Ray can do it, that's exactly what Cloud9 need to get momentum and back into the series.
And I would say the first couple levels for Fizz are often somewhere where he really can struggle. Lee Sin is someone who can affect lanes extremely early. I do favor Lee Sin in those early ganks over the Kha'Zix. If you can't get isolation, Lee Sin is generally more powerful.
Yeah, and if this game is to reset a little bit, in both games 1 and 2, it was the junglers who gave up first blood on invade. So I'm wondering if that kind of subdues the aggression of them early on in the game, since they have been punished, and lets these lanes play out a little bit more evenly.
For contracts, maybe, but I can't see Svenskeren playing a passive early game Lee Sin. I think that when he's on this champion, he unlocks his aggressive style. It's non-stop ganking. He loves to play like that, and I think he's extremely good at it.
And to Sven's credit in that last game, yes, he had a big oopsie getting himself killed in that invade that just ill-advised with Bjergsen not being there and no other help. The rest of his plays looked amazing. A lot of that was teaming up with Hauntzer. Bjergsen was rotating in as well. And we've talked about the top half of the map being so strong for TSM this season. I think this whole series has showcased that in the best possible way for them.
Yeah, Hauntzer has been absolutely out of control in this series, and if you're Cloud9, it still doesn't even feel like they've really even had a chance to respawn. They've been getting smashed in all of these games, so it's so important that they start off this game well. Otherwise, they're going to be playing on stage for about 2.5 hours and then going home.
Feels bad, certainly there. As you can see, the trophy the teams are playing for, TSM are 1 game away from securing yet another NA LCS championship. It would make it 2 in a row. Cloud9 going to try and stop that from happening, and it does start here in our 3rd game.
It also means Biofrost, the Canadian, would have won all of the NA LCS
All of the
in
Canadian
Canada.
titles.
Yep.
Sorry, Total won his 3rd place match. So not quite the same, but they do not lose often in Canada, was my fun fact. I know, huge sample size to work from, so we'll see how that one plays out here. But C9 also have a Canadian. Yesterday, the team with more Canadians won. We'll see if that holds up here for TSM.
It's looking like it so far, and I think the question really on everyone's mind is, how is the top lane going to look? Haunter has been an absolute monster in the first 2 games, and Array needs to show that he can deal with this guy for them to have much of a chance at all in the series.
Yeah, and you wonder how much jungle attention Haunter's going to be calling for. That has been a change this year. He was occasionally the carry back in the summer split when they had Doublelift and Bjergsen, but he has often been the carry this year for TSM and getting many more resources from the rest of the team.
Again, just standard setups here as far as the early spreading out goes. No vision, though, I believe. No wards down in the jungle. Looks like Contract's going to roam down to those Raptors. Of course, Sven is already hanging out there with a bit of help from Bjergsen forthcoming from their REQ. So, again, no vision, but these starts are very standard and should be expected by both teams. What they do from there might tell us something about the early game.
They could, as Jensen's going to be helping him out on this leash. And I am excited to see if Contracts plays more passively. You know, does he have the confidence to stay aggressive, to try to invade on Svenskeren and take him out in an isolated duel, try to catch him out, or if he's kind of just scared off from the first couple games and has to sit back and just farm it out.
Certainly felt like his game 2 on Graves was very passive from a champion that can get nice and aggressive. And I mean, aggression has been a telltale sign for TSM all series long, particularly here. I've been very impressed with Wild Turtle and Biofrost just going to town in every 2v2.
Yeah, this has been a little bit of the untold story of this series, is the fact that Turtle and Biofrost have been smashing in this lane, especially when they were in the Lucian matchup against the Zyra and the Ashe, still getting large CS advantages. Because if Cloud9 was to win this series, a lot of it had to come from the bottom lane with Sneaky and Smoothie, and that hasn't even been close to happening.
Well, it looks like Contracts on the left-hand side. Looks like junglers right now are just moving through their camp. We'll check in with the mid lane though. Bjergsen just hitting level 2. Jensen on the Syndra does have that mid lane already pushing up, and certainly expecting what is a very fun matchup to watch and should showcase a lot of the skill of these players. Syndra almost always has priority in mid lane, particularly early on. So Bjerg can have to kind of weather a little bit of a storm, and we'll see if Jensen can go off on a signature pick for him as well.
Contracts up to the top side pretty early, and that wave from Haunter is going to push towards Ray. So that does mean he could be somewhat susceptible, but Contracts not going to be heading up there.
Yeah, this is technically a very dangerous moment for Haunter because he doesn't know where Contracts would be, and based on normal jungle paths from the Kazakhs, could have been up there. So that ward, even though he got completely safe with it, could have been super risky. If Contracts does blue buff, waits in that brush, that could have been a dead Haunter.
Instead, they're just trading farm back and forth. Nice and even at this stage of the top lane. Like you said, Fizz does need to kind of get through some of the early levels. Haunter, bit of an early advantage right now. And looks like Svenskeren's going to try the first thing over the neutral line. Finds Contracts. He's going to get this Scuttle Crab and take it down. And wards for both these teams here, but that belongs to Svenskeren.
And as soon as Camille goes missing, Contracts has no business there anymore. He has to back off because the top lane is pushing in, and Bio going to get chunked pretty low. Remember, this is 2 supports with Ignite, so they can look for those all-in kills.
Yeah, good chase. These guys have been no strangers to using summoner spells. They also just saw both junglers fairly recently on the top side, so that gives them about a 20-second window to go aggressive. Although Contracts making a rush down to the bottom lane.
Gonna barely get spotted by the ward.
Just barely didn't expire.
Yeah, and looks like Total and Biofrost instantly back away. Contracts now knows what's up. He's gonna leave the area.
If he was really paying attention, you can see as the wards time out. So if he was actually watching, he could have waited in that bush and come right back. But this means Svenskeren free to go topside.
I've seen this movie already.
Oh,
Ray
nice
dodging another cube, and now Svenskeren getting a flashy for a Q-Lag. First blood belongs to Svenskeren.
And even though you bring the Ignite for better trading, you also don't have the flash when you're getting ganked like that. And just the patience there from Svenskeren and Haunter getting into melee range before the hook shot, getting that first kill under Ray. That is huge for giving Haunter an edge in that wave.
Bjergsen taking damage from Jensen. Stun lands in. Jensen going to try and take it down, but Bjergsen knows he's safe-ish. Q's away, runs for it. Jensen no mana left, so not a whole lot left for him to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for Fizz in those early levels. You don't have the flash as the additional escape. He already used the Playful Trickster. Really nice sidestep, and he needs to sidestep the Q to have any chance. I think even if he did, he still would have got ran down, but not able to get away.
And Svenskaren's comfort on that champion right there, making sure he got the slow from his E before trying to land that Q just makes it even more difficult for Ray to sidestep.
Look at the investment in the early game, though, for Ray. The double Dark Seal, he needs to make something happen, and he knows that he can't afford to fall so far behind like he did in Game 1 against Haunter. But, you know, that's on contracts, too. He's not up there helping him. He's not up there defending his top laner, as Svenskeren has been doing so frequently.
Actually getting some assistance in the jungle here. Smoothie going to help out Contracts. He really has just been power farming. Now going to go back and spend that early burst of gold. Spin, though, has already ganked, has finished up that first jungle item, and got a long swap with that first blood money.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Contracts is just now basing, is down a couple CS, not that it's completely indicative of how much you farm, and wasn't even involved in that gank. Svenskeren has just done more of everything.
Yeah, and Lee Sin is his most comfortable champion, already level 6. An opportunity to try and take even more control of the game. This is the killer instinct and where it needs to come in for TSM. Game time wise, they've only played for 48 minutes in the first 2. They have a chance to make this the fastest finals in history.
And with the level 6 on both Camille and Lee Sin, you can go straight back up top. With the ultimatum, that sets you up so easily for a kick into a Q, and that's a free kill if you land it.
Contracts is here though.
Looks like damage in there for Ray. Actually already used the ultimate, but Contracts moving in. Haunter gets all the way away with a hook shot. Svenskeren and Bjergsen there to save him. Great escape from Haunter.
Yeah, it does get out. Well played, and Sven is here. They didn't know where the jungler was, so can't really try to chase.
Yeah, Hunter might even return back to that lane without shopping thanks to the honey fruit so he can catch that wave. Nice attempt for C9, but they come up empty.
Yeah, Sven is hanging around mid lane, maybe trying to kick Jensen into a charm.
Or go for Contracts. There's a couple of things here. The common play would be the mid lane dive, but if he sees a level 5 Kha'Zix, he could go for it. Calls the play off.
Ari's nice and mobile, though. Great synergy there from TSM, lining up in that jungle, getting a pick if they can see something happen. Trades in the bottom and continuing, though, a sneaky low, but Smoothie chasing in and getting damage down onto Wild Turtle. Summoner still all up, though. Oh, no, now they're down, Ignite onto Turtle. Sneaking and move forward and trying at the first flash. Good shield there, moves him away with a bit of extra movement speed. Smoothie low, but still playing aggressive, and Ray, again, more attention to that top lane.
Yeah, Sven actually ward jumped behind the turret to try and get an attention there, so Ray getting away with full health was actually a pretty slippery escape.
And see, deciding not to actually flash to try to finish off a kill there, takes the small advantage, but now Turtle has a flash.
Contracts, that's what he needs, there's a kill! Cloud9 on the board.
And that may help to get Contract some confidence back, something going right for the C9 jungler. I think that's his first kill of the series.
Yeah, that could be so huge for Mention because C9 needs some type of hope in this series after getting so demolished in
here,
Game 2.
and he has no Playful Trickster, they're gonna dive.
He's got ulti, but Sven's got kick. Haunter gonna look for it. Vicious Haunter already. Kick back in. There's the Q landing. Ray, urgent strikes through a minion. He's gonna burn down just barely, but Ray, oh, Haunter is gonna get the trade. Ray plays that wonderfully.
Really well played by Ray to get the trade kill. That was so big for him. And the investment in the early AP does pay off somewhat. He also gets a couple stacks there from the kill because he had already died, and then he picks up those stacks afterwards.
2 really big moments there for C9, especially up top with Ray when he doesn't need the jungle assistance to get him back into that game. Really does unlock Contracts to go make some plays since he knows where Svenskeren was, knows that he's low, and you can already see the counter jungle coming in.
And there's the ulti, not quite enough for a solo kill.
Yeah, that early null magic mantle from Bjergsen paying dividends, really keeping him safe there. And here's that top lane dive once again. As soon as the Playful Trickster is down, TSM wants to come in. When the fish goes out, they wait that out before fully committing, and then they go for it.
Yeah, you can see the turret swaps over to Svenskeren as he goes in, which is what they wanted, but because they could not burst him out, you'd almost want them to wait another second there so that Haunter could have comboed while the Dragon's Rage had Ray knocked up.
Yeah, as soon as he would have been out of that knock-up from the fish, but they were worried, I think, about jungle assistance coming in or something like that. And Ray is able to make an outplay and get something going for himself for the first time in this series.
Trade kill's exactly what Ray needs here. Just a bit of extra gold, and again, confidence building for Cloud9's importer. Even Jensen missing that all-in, landing a stun and just comboing Bjergsen, saying, I have control of this lane. These are all little things that will start to build up in this game.
Another thing to really track in this top lane matchup is because they're both Trinity Force users and they spike so incredibly hard when they do get that, it's the race to the Trinity Force. If one player gets the advantage and can complete that item before the other, they get complete lane dominance.
Bottom lane's been a little quieter. We did see an all-in previously, but early life still there for Turtle and some safe items for Sneaky. Should
Oh,
be
not
He snuck
spotted.
around the ward.
That plays a little safer. Good invade here from Contracts and Ray. Maybe trying to catch up the mid lane. I see some pings. Contracts are going to check this jungle. Sees nothing there, but does get some vision down instead.
A bit of time wasted right there. There wasn't much option to dive. Svenskeren and Bjergsen coming down,
to
and the
five-man
teleport.
bot. We'll see if they can respond in time.
TSM trying something, Sven gonna line it all up. Smoothie the first target, but a good ult from Sneaky as the TP's gonna follow him from Cloud9. Off from Turtle is great. There's a Lulu knockup, but Svenskeren already takes down Sneaky. Haunter goes invulnerable, but doesn't quite lock enough down as Ray gets the counter kill. Bjergsen whimsied up, gonna have to run away with the Q. Stun's gonna miss her, but Ray dives back in onto Bjergsen. Shields from Karma moving in, but Jensen punches the Bifrost, doesn't kill him though. And now Contract, the next one to file into the play. TSM pull out, it's just a trade.
Yeah, they do trade kills there. A lot of summoners blown on both sides. C9 holds on to the play.
Much closer early game right here as C9 is able to hit back a little bit when TSM goes for those big plays.
Yeah, this is a full commitment. Nice setup from TSM initially. Sneaky does a good job to chunk out the bot lane a little bit, but that ult from Turtle was so big.
Yeah, also getting the knock-up twice there for Svenskeren, preventing him from getting a very clean combo off, and then Haunter took way too much turret aggro. The idea for TSM was to kind of just lock him down with the ultimatum and the turtle ult and kill all three very quickly, but when they don't do that, they have to turn tail and run. So they didn't overcommit necessarily because they were able to pull away, but they don't get what they wanted with that play.
And although Jensen did get a couple summoners out, the exhaust and that heal from his flash forward, he will be vulnerable for some time, especially to Svenskeren if he comes to gank with Bjergsen.
Feels like twice now Jensen's just been a little too soon to pull the trigger on that ultimate. I think in a different game, Jensen probably calculates a little bit better and makes sure he secures those kills. Still good to see Cloud9 playing proactively. TSM though, answer on the top side, take away that blue buff. We saw it steal earlier a number of minutes ago where Jensen got Bjergsen's blue buff. So again, these teams just trading back and forth, and well, what, 12 minutes into this game, and this is definitely the closest game of this series.
And it's been a theme throughout the series to focus Jensen by taking away those blue buffs. In game one against the Cassio, they were able to do it on the Ivern multiple times, even on the first clear, taking away that blue, and they're trying to keep Jensen down through these little moves.
Yeah, and so much of the way C9 has played throughout the regular split has been with Jensen taking a lot of resources and really dominating that mid lane and making the game come through him. He has the highest percentage of CS for his team post 15 minutes after he can transition that lead. So if TSM is able to shut him down early, they take away a lot of C9's setup for teamfights late game.
Well, so we're still waiting for those first major items to come out here. Jensen and Contracts though, roaming down to that bottom side of the map, maybe looking at a pretty soon to spawn blue buff here, or maybe
they're looking at the
tower
dive. Summoners are missing for TSM bot lane, and they're going to go straight in. We'll see if they can pull it off. No, okay.
Third Lumbaya Frost sneaking away. Jensen's like, hey, don't you get out? Cleanses off a little late. Jensen misfiring there.
Yeah, I do not like the delay there from Cloud9 because they had the numbers advantage and they were sitting on the control ward for about a second before they decided to pull the trigger.
It seemed to me like they wanted to pull off the play initially, realized they're losing mid lane turret, and then tried to force something so they get the worst of both worlds, and they're going to lose that mid lane turret.
Bjergsen actually doesn't quite get stunned, and now they're going to go back in. Great kick. They're smoothly going to get taken down. TSM making it look real. Bjergsen flushes out of the way. Contract going to move in, but going to try and take it down. Svenskeren looking for the big play. Grabs a double kill, does go down, but such heroic maneuvers.
Svenskeren is going off in this game. 4-1-1 involved in everything. Ray trying all in top side.
Oh, does get the knock up there on the fish. Haunter can't leap away in time, but will be okay. Haunter holds his ground, doesn't burn the ultimate.
So close again for Jensen, though. The slightest bit of health left on Bjergsen. That's 3 times he's barely not gotten a kill, which is really slowing him down and stopping him from snowballing.
Yeah, and a fairly lazy collapse by C9 right there. They just meandered in as their turret was falling and didn't find a good mark to hit.
So that was a mistake.
The passive was fully charged from Hotzer, and he just jumped.
Oh no, Bjergsen might go down as well. Smoothie's caught him. He knocks down C9, picking up steam.
This is just what C9 need. They're back in the game. and they're getting some confidence off these big kills.
TSM plays through their solo laners, so when both their solo laners go down, they lose a ton of pressure right here. Haunter going in, comical almost. He just walks straight into a Fizz auto attack, hoping he'd land the hook shot stun and make a huge play. Doesn't land the hook shot stun, gets killed. And then Bjergsen trying to recall early so he doesn't lose too much damage on his turret, ends up getting punished. So back-to-back mistakes there by TSM solo laners.
It has to feel like Haunter playing a little bit fast and loose because he's dominated these last couple of games. He's so used to being able to win, and now with that kill given over to Ray, he gets the first Triforce. He has 6 stacks on each of his Darksteels, and he's at a super strong point.
C9 their first post 15-minute gold lead of this series. Watching this one more time, Haunter, great dodge by Ray right there, but then you just have to pull away right here.
The biggest thing is that the passive is already charged. That means the W does so much extra damage. It would have been fine to go back in had that passive not already been applied, but it was, and then Bjergsen gets caught with a lazy recall.
Just the one thing we mentioned about the potential faults of smashing so hard in games 1 and 2 is you would get overconfident in the third game. A little bit of that there, but you have to credit C9 for making the plays and recovering here to get the goal lead in game 3, which was brief. It's now a little bit back to TSM.
And for just not having a complete collapse after the way that they were completely dominating in both games 1 and 2. Fight maybe breaking out here around the Dragon.
Flashed away, but the Drake does go to TSM.
Bjergsen's done, TP in from Cloud9. Ray fishing for an ulti, doesn't land it. Prince Garen able to dodge away. Drake over to TSM. They'll get the first one of this particular game, but you can see the teams starting to play a bit more aggressively now, and those first items have come up. Trinity Force is available. We can see Haunter working towards his, and Alfred Bjergsen has a Gunblade, which is kind of an adaptation for these Ahri builds. We've seen it on the block. Makes sense that Ahri is a kind of champion that can use it as well.
Yeah, we actually saw Huhi run this build earlier in the playoffs and completely dominated that game once he did get going. The assassination potential was quite huge, but we have to track. Haunter did not blow TP for that Dragon. Ray did, and flashes down for Jensen. TSM can look to make plays.
Yeah, well, right now they're trying to crash that huge minion wave into the turn. There's not much C9 can do about it, but it's turning into a little bit of a split push game. We kind of have our first competitive game in this series.
Well, turret's going to go down. TSM up 2-1 in structures, but C9 trying to trade pretty quickly. Sneaky and Smoothie with contracts to their left, pushing down on that bottom tier 2. Looks like that'll be cleared out, and Spence Garen might be thinking about something here towards Ray, but instead, Cloud9 continuing to steal away jungle contracts, and that's a blue. Bjergsen, they're going to trade one back.
And this is really smart play from TSM. While Fizz is at this super strong point, he has very weak wave clear. You move your mid laner up, your jungler up, you force down the turret, you get Haunter to his Trinity Force, which is that key point for him, and don't leave them in an isolated matchup while he's at a disadvantage. So these little things that TSM does are just so intelligent to shore up weaknesses wherever they do pop up.
Yeah, and when Haunter is on Camille, TSM looks to play more around him. So Bjergsen on Ahri, more mobile than Jensen Syndra, and Jensen does have a tendency to kind of stick around in the mid lane and try and make the game played around him. So it's not necessarily the 1v1 that is going to tilt this, but it's who helps the 1v1 to tilt it in that team's favor for that top lane matchup.
Well, Jensen has finished his first major item. You can see Sneaky Manamune done working on his own Trinity Force, and Blade of the Ruin King's now done for totals. So the game is close both in gold, and those early items mean that these fights can swing very quickly based on how the teams execute. Cloud9 do need to take a little more territory. They're behind in turrets, which means that moving around the map is going to be a little more difficult. But other than that, Cloud9 finally poised to try and take over a game.
Yeah, and the CNA bot lane has to be very careful. You cannot escape the ultimatum. TSM is lying in wait. We'll see if they decide to pull the trigger. But they don't have a lot of vision in the river, which is kind of making them hesitant as Jensen went missing.
Yeah, TSM does not want to make that bold play when they know they're in an even game. So this is also where C9 is going to be a little bit more comfortable. We mentioned how their early games in their first 15 minutes throughout the regular season, they actually averaged a minor gold deficit, and they were so good in the mid and late game in these even or slight deficits games that they were still the second best team during the regular season. So look for them to start making some plays in the team fight phase as this game keeps progressing forward.
Well, it looks like Cloud9 trying to kind of siege down top there. Got 3 moving towards that lane, but TSM happy to converge there as well and try and get a pick started if they can find it. Like you mentioned, Vision does need to be re-established here, and Bjergsen and Jensen will need to be around mid lane to try and push that down. But 1v1 top lane going to start again. Ray already landed the fish, but the ultimatum.
Oh, it failed his E over the wall.
And the E's going to make sure he gets out. Ray, bit of a misstep there, but kind of taking over in the 1v1, at least in that short exchange.
Well, and honestly, Haunter misplayed that a little bit. What you want to do is, once you're already fished, you want to try to use the ultimatum to try to immune that knockup, time that out so the fish is proccing as you go up, and you can come down and try to avoid that little stage of being CC'd.
Again, at it, Ray diving pretty far forward. Able to dodge out with Playful Trickster. Haunter left clearing the minions instead with his Tiamat. And again, just a world of difference for Cloud9, the confidence you're seeing. And when you have a carry top laner like Ray, who does have, you know, a little bit more energy behind his play, does not have advantages, and is on this type of champion, Ray might be the thing that really unlocks the rest of the map for C9, because look, able to take top turret now and equalize the objective.
Yeah, and there's also a high chance that this game is decided by who can get deep wards first. And when you have Ray able to push Haunter back to his turret, that does give some freedom for C9 to try and make some vision plays elsewhere, since with both of those carry split pushers, a lot of collapsing happens, and vision is what makes those plays work.
And you can tell just how important they see the vision as it's actually a 6-stack Darksteel being sold for a pink ward there from Ray. So really high priority placed on that vision. It's a smart play, something you do see in professional play all the time.
Yeah, Darksteel has a tremendous sellback value. Also, only one of them is good for the stacking. The unique Dread passive is the unique on it, so he still gets the little bit of extra AP. It's 33 AP for that very low investment early on in the game.
Well, Bjergsen clearing out a wave and fading back toward this left side. TSM continuing to try and get stuff done on the top half. Haunter and Ray again continuing to be down that bottom side, split pushing. And Jensen and get to the mid lane for now, but plenty of wave clear to play with. Stun, he's going to land, might look for an all-in. Smoothie's here to help him out.
Oh, he's waiting on the ulti.
Good, but he's going to move it back in. Ulti not enough as Bjergsen dashes back in towards it. The rest of TSM is here now. Svenskeren kicks Smoothie back in. Good ult from Turtle, but Smoothie flashes out of the way.
Ray's here too.
Now Sven going to move in. Actually goes down to Sneaky. Ray going to take one down to the back line. Good
get more.
for Cloud9. Still going in. Ult's not enough for Turtle, but TSM solo now.
Such a turnaround right there by Cloud9. Svenskeren doesn't get the right angle on the kick, and none of the CC can be chained. Then Contracts and Ray come in with the flank because Ray was there before Haunter.
And now the turret's going to go down in the mid lane. Cloud9 going to get the turret advantage and break open the outer ring. All of a sudden, if they needed a way to give themselves initiative and open up the game and put it in their hands, this is their time. 3,000 gold up, 3 turrets down. Cloud9, this game could be yours.
So many little things happen early to try and give him the confidence, but right here, Jensen lands the stun, lands the W, does get exhausted, but then waits for it to clear an ult. And then you got to worry about Svenskeren coming in. I thought he was going for the angle on Jensen, but they try and change it with the Varus ultimate. Smoothie flashes away before it hits.
Yeah, and it misses the Varus ultimate and the charm from Ahri, which allows Ray to go deep in this fight, take down the first kill, and so much of the gold is going over to him on their split pusher, exactly where you want it, but TSM rushing the Dragon.
Dragon, though, maybe be contested. Contracts doesn't fancy leaping in for a steal. TSM will pick up their second Drake in this game. Mountain's nice to add to the stockpile.
Yeah, Mountain much easier to use when you are ahead, but still very beneficial if they're looking to sneak a Baron at some point. So I think C9 will be okay giving that away as long as they can keep the aggression up and keep the wards deep in TSM territory.
And C9 really is at a very strong point with the Muramana completed for Sneaky, Triforce on him, Triforce done on Ray. 2 items on both the jungle and the mid lane. This is a very powerful time for them before the item completions come in for TSM. They want to fight around this.
And we saw, again, Bjergsen Syndra last game was significantly further ahead, but that double spell plan point was really where Jensen could start blowing people up. TSM's been not cooperating with going down to Syndra, but Jensen certainly has the power to break down the squishier members. And with Ray having so much power here, 4 kills and still now moving down to the bot lane to split push, I mean, he's the thing that's going to unlock the rest of the map for C9, so we'll see how they can play this 4-1 moving into the next 10-20 minutes.
And it's pretty remarkable the faith that this C9 organization is putting into Ray. They have a former world champion in Impact.
Oh,
Sneaky R right there to steal the red buff. But they have this former world champion in Impact on the bench, and they pull Ray back into it on an elimination game in the finals. He's only played 1/3 of their games during the regular season. Now, though, he is getting collapsed upon.
both solo laners looking for a 2v1, but Ray playing it very safe.
Yep, looks like he might have had some vision. I think Bjergsen got spotted walking by the river, so Ray Houdini's his way out of that situation. Now Bjergsen's going to show himself soon. Ray going to walk back in after hiding in that brush. Firefrost floating up that Baron. TSM know that they are moving into, you know, a much longer game now.
And Ray is at such a strong point that you kind of have to make the assumption that if Haunter is moving aggressively towards you at any time, someone else is probably there.
TSM. An early warning system, so to speak.
Yep. Why is he running at me? Uh-oh. Seems like a bad time. Well, Cloud9 may be moving out now. Again, lots of open space for these two teams to play with. TSM, I think, looking for a pick more than anything else. They tried it with this fence carry kick, but couldn't chain the CC onto Smoothie. But if Carry in particular gets caught out, that's a struggle here. But for TSM, they're going to have to do it without Haunter getting there at least immediately.
Or a jungler. I mean, if anyone goes down at this point in the game, both teams can rush this Baron down quite quickly. Kha'Zix is excellent at taking down those objectives, and top laners are going to be trying to force out the TP from the other one or get an advantage in a side lane, try to extend their resources a little bit further.
Yeah, and you can see the momentum in this game is definitely in the favor of C9, which is miraculous after how badly they lost games 1 and 2. The mental fortitude to come back and have a lead in this game. But even with that, it's still just a 2,500 gold lead. Any fight goes a little bit in the wrong, and TSM would be able to get the gold lead and most likely the Baron. So very slim margins that C9 have to execute on here.
And at least right now, it feels like C9 can enact that game plan, which is something they couldn't really do in the last two games.
This battle for vision, they have not seen Jensen yet.
Conducting again does get a double slow. Shields out there onto the jungler, making sure he stays safe.
C9 is really emphasizing the vision around this Baron area, especially with Syndra. It's incredibly strong. With that Syndra and Kha'Zix combo, if you can control the area, force someone to come close, you hit one stun, they are going to go down.
Ray backing up again. Actually going to go back in now that he sees where Sven Garen was. Not a whole lot of vision in that blue side jungle for TSM, but Ray playing this really smart. I'm sure this is something he's well practiced on as far as pushing goes. And C9, again, enacting their comp very safely, very steadily.
Yeah, and TSM is just kind of waiting for the right opportunity where Bjergsen could land a charm or Sven Garen can get a nice kickback, because they are very much just looking for the pick here and hoping that they can reestablish a little bit of vision to make that happen. Getting these control wards out of the river is actually pretty critical.
That really is. I mean, that's what C9 has been fighting for these last couple minutes, is that Baron vision. And now C9 cedes control of the Baron area. TSM walks in, clears out their vision, adds a whole new layer of wards that you now have to reset and wipe out.
Ray also going back in. Finish his Sunfire Cape now. Flash up from Turtles. Not going to connect on Sneaky.
That is pretty scary. Now your AD carry is down a flash and in the ultimate. Nothing was expended. Not even an E from Sneaky to sidestep it.
Yeah, now the fear of a teleport flank is even larger, because if Ray just gets close to Turtle, there's nothing he can really do to escape it. So the vision battle TSM was fighting, they have to play even more conservatively to try to get that back.
Bjergsen looking for a pick here, though. Not going to spot anyone from C9 moving. And now Biofrost in trouble as he's trying to clear wards out of their red side jungle. C9 again moving in, clear out the vision around that Baron area, and the dance does continue. Bjergsen busy putting out this mid wave, and that is one of those pivotal things. You need to make sure this wave is pushed back, and so you will see the ebb and flow around the area.
Even just the scuttle being there for TSM is going to buy them some time, because that gives them the confidence to know C9 has not entered the pit through any normal circumstances.
Sneaky instead, they're going to start a push towards the top lane, and C9 going to try and get all these lanes going. Ray continuing to heavily shove that bottom lane here, and we haven't seen the 1v1 yet. Haunter might be making a play for it. It's actually a 1v1 right now. Sven not here, and Ray going to turn it around. I wonder if he feels unsafe. It's because Bjergsen's coming.
Well, it's a really long play. Bjergsen would have to run down, and Ray understands that if Haunter's ever running towards him, he's going to back away, and he doesn't actually take that much damage from Haunter, so it does stop him from being able to push in, but really TSM gets nothing out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very smart play from Ray. He knows that no one on his team can actually get there very quickly, so he shows the respect.
They trade red steals.
Yeah.
And C9 is actually wondering, why is Sven Garen there? The rest of his team is elsewhere, so
Ray.
everyone tries to kill him now.
Oh, good kick. Fish not going to land either. Sven Garen gets away with a very reckless play.
High risk red steal for sure, and now they're trying to prep for the Drake, but Sven Garen doesn't have his R up, and that red buff doesn't do much for now.
No ultimate for Ray either, though, so that could keep Turtle a little bit more safe, as he has no flash. It could be a smite steal.
Drake already low. Smite's not up for Sven Garen just yet, so he can't steal it. TSM need to buy time or start a fight. Sneaky front
doesn't
lining.
know that.
There's the chunk happening. Haunter looks for a contract, doesn't find it, and there's the Mountain Drake. First Drake for this game over to C9.
Yeah, and the Mountain is really good for C9 in this context because they've been trying to control the vision around Baron for so long. Mountain Drake giving them much faster clear chance for that, but they're taking control of mid right now.
That's a big stun.
Yeah, Bjergsen chunked out. They are going to do additional damage to these turrets. It'll help out their split push, which has been their strength.
Ray is just in there, really harassing TSM.
Haunter's actually pushing bottom right now, though, so if TSM is to fight, they would need a flank teleport.
C9 may just try to go to Baron to force out a TP from Haunter. We'll see if they can actually get that, and if they're willing to commit to the play. They may look for a collapse.
Oh, Fish not going to hit there, looking for Biofrost, but Ray doesn't find it. C9 instead aren't going to rush over, and it looks like Haunter's going to get a turret out of the deal.
Yeah, Jensen's pretty low on mana, and with the Fish down, C9 loses that pressure. So Haunter now gets to kind of turn the tables, and it's TSM who has tempo advantage because the threat of a Baron 5v4 isn't nearly as great without that ultimate.
I mean, C9's looking a little bit paralyzed. Haunter is still pushing. Ray needs to, they either need to start the Baron or Ray needs to go bot and answer him because he has been the stronger split pusher, and they're giving up 2 turrets for free.
And Ray doesn't want to match with teleport, so I think C9 wanted so badly to force that Baron play, but they lose 2 turrets to Haunter.
That was very poorly done by C9. They needed to commit to one play or the other. They kind of waffled in the middle, didn't start Baron, didn't go bot. They lose out a lot, and that's a lot of solo gold and team gold going the way of TSM, which will help Haunter out in this matchup so much.
Yeah, we've seen Ray just consistently push in, threaten Haunter, and only really run away when he knows someone else is coming. Haunter eventually will be able to turn that around, and maybe that point's now after all that gold he got.
Exactly. Haunter is now up 400 gold against Fizz, so the late game Camille scaling is underway. That's a situation where C9 either needed to land that Fish, so you can understand why they're going for that, because that's their play to make the game go wide open. But once Haunter has killed that first turret, your time to make that play is gone. Just run down bottom, reset the play, but they were too slow doing that, and it could cost them if they lose that split push pressure, because that's what was allowing them to get the vision in this game.
It really does feel like C9's playing a little bit scared. There's wards in the pit. TSM should be aware of this. They're committing to it. TP comes in.
Control
They're going to finish it off.
And rushing it down. The Maldrake helping out. Contract smites the Baron down. Ray looks at the Fish, but doesn't land onto Bjergsen. Total disengage ulti as Contract leads on the Sven, but he gets kicked back into the team. Contract's going to flash out of the way as Sven goes down to Contract. Ray now getting attacked by Haunter, but he doesn't manage to pull out of the way. Sneaky getting low, but Jensen takes out Turtle. Looking to stun on Bjergsen, but doesn't get it as Cloud9 almost wiped TSM.
Such a close fight. Only 2 people dead on TSM, but C9 in position. They pulled the trigger on that Baron, and they make it work.
And if they had killed Haunter off that would have been massive. They could have gotten so much here, but still, they're going to push for the inhibitor. They have the Baron buff, and 5 members up.
I mean, I'm not saying it's the right play, but they invested in Baron by not going bottom lane and do get rewarded with an aggressive play.
Yeah,
Inhibitor going to go down as well.
The control wards did black out the TSM vision of that Baron, so rushing it down was the right call there.
For the first time this series, C9 break the TSM base. They knock down an inhibitor. They have the split push advantage, and here it is again. C9 already committed to the Baron, got that, and now turn for the fight.
Yeah, Ray's so brazen with his initiation, as is Contracts, but Sven Skarin right here takes his Q through it, almost like he lost where Contracts was in the fight, because it's pretty much suicidal once he takes it through. Ray dashing back, Sneaky did get hit by the charm, but because of the Lulu, they can continue pushing forward. They have that small lead, so much was invested into Ray, and no one quite ticked down for C9.
Now TSM looking to set up a play here. The ultimate is available from Varus. 5 men moving bot. They're hoping that C9 will not be prepared as a squad, and Contracts is off on the side. This may work.
No. Spotted out. Jensen using that blue trinket. Just making sure they do everything properly here. TSM still forcing.
Sneaky caught.
It's an ulti kickback by Sven. Turtle able to get that one, and now Smoothie getting chased down. Force of Ash as Bjergsen tries to move in for the charm. Sven Skarin still chasing down. Smoothie's gonna get locked down. Great stun there by Jensen. Could save his support slot. Smoothie
Ray in the
still
back.
alive for now, but Ray gets Sven Skarin sweeping in there to try and do the damage. But Ray locked down forever. Shut down by Biofrost.
And when the AD dies at the start of the fight, this game is not that out of hand that Ray can just wander in at the end of it. That was a play where Ray was hoping to collapse on TSM, but TSM struck first, so the decisiveness pays off there.
And C9 knew they were there. Do not show the respect to TSM. And Sneaky just walks up, gets kicked in by Sven Skarin. This should have been the Baron buff to close out the game. With the middle inhibitor already down, Nexus turret's under fire, you should have a clear path to take down another inhibitor. Instead, Sneaky just walks forward. They know they were there.
And also, look where Jensen is. He's up about 1,000 units higher in the lane. Not an exact pick range, but that's basically asking for a fight when Ray was still about 10 seconds away. Then as the fight continues, TSM moves up. All this time, they're getting everyone on C9 unavailable to assist Ray by the time Ray goes in. So Jensen tried with an ultimate, unable to pick up a kill.
This guy is very tanky. He's not building glass cannon.
And it's a tank Fizz as well. The Fish is nice, but it's not the same as the AP Fizz, which is almost a guaranteed kill at this stage.
Well, Cloud9 fumble a bit there in the bottom lane. Losing Baron as well is going to be tough, and it's almost expired, so map's going to get reset a little here. Cloud9 still up in gold, but a big Drake to fight for in 25 seconds. Infernal coming up.
Yeah, they still do have the gold advantage. They have an inhibitor down, so they have map pressure, and their split pusher is still very strong. So lots going well for Cloud9, but definitely not the fumble you want when you are at match point in the finals.
Looks like still trying to find those picks. Bjergsen, though, pretty slippery on the Ahri. Has a Zhonya's now as well, so including the early Negatron cloak, it's been very hard for Jensen to pin down.
Yeah, look at the priorities here right now, though. C9 pinging the top turrets and the control in the Baron jungle of TSM, essentially saying they don't care about this Infernal Drake because they didn't have vision in that area and don't want to face check, opting to get priority in another area, trying to essentially end the game off of these Baron push, which they still have on contracts for a few seconds.
Ben able to take down the Drake, but one turret down for C9. They're going to keep pushing, though.
Yeah, they know that someone is missing down towards that dragon. So will C9 try to force a play around this? They're probably going to have to wait for Ray to push up first, but are setting up for picks.
And I like this here, Cloud9 not overextending into a siege. Already got someone clipped by Wild Turtle's ultimate. There's a lot of single target pick style CC for TSM, so C9 sticking together, actually going to play down towards Ray, despite the fact that he has his TP and just bounce between these lanes.
And these next couple purchases are going to be very important here for the top laners, the junglers. Once they grab their GA, that is a big power point too for these end game fights. Contracts is close. Ray is building likely towards his. When Cloud9 gets that double GA up on their divers, they may look to try to force them.
Yeah, and we kind of have these bruiser front lines as well as they go for a fight.
Honto looks for it. Ray maybe caught out first, but again, very tanky with the build that he's gone. C9 defend well and continue the siege on this tier 2.
Yeah, 3 pairs of Ninja Tabi onto TSM, 2 pairs onto C9. When the last whispers come in from the carries as well, that will be a big turning point because there's almost acting as tanks right now.
Oh, that was sick from Ray. Dodges the ultimate of Haunter with playful tricks. The Haunter a little too early.
Yeah, and he actually gets the cooldown out of Haunter, so that does fizzle it. That is completely gone. I don't know if that's enough for C9 to want to pull the trigger, but they are pushing aggressively to at least try to get this tier 2.
Yeah, Haunter's moved away to clear some super minions. He would have teleport and is incredibly mobile, but these are the small windows where C9 is trying to get damage in on this turret without getting initiated on.
And Ray feels like almost just frustrating Haunter at this point, tying him up. Bjergsen gets stunned. Oh, Jensen cleanses out, but there's a knock-up in. Spen's gonna kick him away as Haunter leaps in to try and take him down, but Haunter whips it up after the fish. He's gonna go down, I think, as Contracts barely leaps out the way. And now Sneaky just firing away. Bjergsen does take out Ray finally, so it's a 1-for-1 trade, but TSM put everything and couldn't get the kill.
Jensen is trying to bite off more than he can chew. He wants these kills so badly. Very lucky he did not go down, or that would have been a complete collapse for C9 in the fight.
Oh, he gets thrown! Placement! Darren takes down Jensen and TSM defend.
Jensen continues to push forward in these situations, and he has still been pressing harder and harder. Nearly gets killed one time. If that wasn't enough, goes back again, and Bjergsen pulls the trigger on that flash charm, punishing Jensen.
And Jensen, he gets a stun, so he wants a kill, but the whole team is there. Gets kicked in, really quick redemption, and ultimates coming out from Smoothie. Barely saves him. Look at Haunter, just barely missed that.
Jensen did barely stay alive thanks to Smoothie's redemption right there, and this was a 1-for-1 because Ray tried to move in and act as a tank. In Jensen's defense here, if C9 is trying to make plays, Ray is always off in another lane, and no one else on that C9 team is able to get a pick. So if there's going to be someone who's forward to make a pick, it is Jensen. It just kind of increases the pressure and burden of execution on him in this matchup because when he gets picked, the team loses.
The Baron's up. TSM looks like they want to go straight to it. Already starting it up here. Sneaky is in mid lane, and Haunter is in between him and the team. Ray is in base.
They haven't watered the pit though, so C9 knows this is happening. Sneaky, they're going to get caught. Haunter might have actually found the NA carry. Sets a trap, and Sneaky takes the bait. 5v4 going to start for TSM as now Ray getting stunned up by the hook shot. Ulti there from Wild Turtle, and the CC just comes flying in. GA down.
That's his GA. He's going to die again. Smoothie tried to flash over to
Tips out of the way. Earth Strike's not enough. Gunblade plus the tether as the heal though coming out from Lulu with the ultimate Ray. Charm back in though. Bjergsen gets the kill.
Almost certainly Baron for TSM, and that pick may be what does it. If they get this Baron, it's a stone's throw away from closing out the series.
So smart by Haunter to wait in that brush right there and goes for just the right target. Contracts is still going to want to try, but he can't get past Haunter, who would just 1v1 duel him.
Redemption going to reset as well, give TSM a bit of extra health to play with. Contracts almost going to die solo here for Haunter.
I think Contracts is going to die solo.
Camille just can't do enough here. Baron is going to go over to TSM. Jensen can't be the hero. Doesn't steal it. Spen smites it away. And now Jensen's maybe caught out.
That Baron was down to 113 health, so definitely an effort. The speed of the Lulu, but the teleport.
Jensen now going to get caught down. Great stun from Haunter. Ultimatum's going to steal that one. Blown up by Haunter. TSM back to form.
Jensen, he wanted to try to steal the Baron. Felt like he had to do something. Giving up another kill here. Haunter was always laying in wait. Sneaky, no chance to get away. And Smoothie is too far away from his teammate. Ray doesn't come to the field. No one to help out the AD carry. And there's that late flash from Smoothie.
And Jensen had just respawned from the base after getting charmed up in the top lane. So all of that started with some over-aggression by C9 in the top lane and TSM's ability to punish it.
With Jensen down for 30 seconds, C9 needs to be careful. One more pick could end the game.
Contracts going to get aggressed on. TSM take a turret. Fish lands onto Sven. But it's not quite enough. And TSM might actually try and end the game. 44-27 is the time they're trying to beat for the fastest finals ever, and they're looking to try and maybe do it.
Yeah, C9 needs to give up at least this first inhibitor. They will do so. Jensen should be up for the defense on the next one, and that is where C9 will have to try to make their stand and stay in this series.
Yeah, but this is a push where TSM could secure yet another championship and their place at MSI. So TSM easily taking this turret, already have the mid lane inhibitor down. Will they play this slow? Looks like they're backing off.
Yep, just one inhib seems like enough for TSM. Huge minion wave pushing down the bottom side, and Elder Dragon up in 30 seconds. TSM playing it slower.
Yeah, they're trying to get vision around the Elder here. TSM pings over onto that Elder. They want to make sure they can close this out. They want that international tournament berth, the redemption for Worlds, to get back to MSI and prove their strength.
The last time TSM was MSI was 2015. That did not end well for them. They had Wild Turtle and Bjergsen in that tournament. They want to go back. The redemption that C9 is hoping for is the NA Championship, making up for Toronto.
He failed to jump over the wall.
He's got a GA. The blast code's not enough to tether. Almost reaching him through the wall. A Smoothie there to defend. Haunter whimsied up. There's a stun out onto Sven.
Here goes Ray.
Dives back in. Sven trying to zip out of the way, but he's not quite mobile enough. Sneaky over the wall. Sneaky gets kicked into Contracts. Ray still chasing it down, but Wild Turtle lands the ultimate onto the Fizz. He's so tanky and disruptive as Haunter finally returns the fight. Good start to go by Jensen. Looks for Haunter. Does get the GA.
But Contracts is so incredibly low. Bjergsen over the wall.
Looks to make a play. They're going to protect their jungler. They need to around this objective.
Both teams have Mountain Drakes, but the Ocean could actually be pretty critical for TSM here, as they can either stick around to regen up or use the Baron Empowered Recall as they choose to reset.
Both teams backing off. That was so incredibly close to both junglers going down. If either one does, it all but ensures that Elder Dragon for their team. Wild Turtle, though, already on the team. They had the Baron recalls. They're faster to the play.
Exactly. They can start. Contracts didn't go back. Still has a GA, but is not a factor for this fight.
He just has to smite Seal. I don't know if
he's not here either.
A whole lot else to do. There's the ultimate in for a little bit of vision. Ray trying to get it down. Contract needs to go in, but Spen secures the Elder Dragon. Contract flashes out to safety. Rays gets over the wall with playful Trickster. Elder Dragon now for TSM.
Contracts with the very early smite there. Svenskeren, cool under pressure, nails the smite on the Elder Dragon. That's a triple buff Elder Dragon here.
And those are the types of plays for TSM where you're willing to get into a smite fight, because if you get it, you're putting yourself in a great position to win the spring split, and if you don't, it's just the one Mountain Drake that will be being enhanced by the Elemental Drakes there. So TSM with the triple Elemental Drake and Elder looking for inhibitor number 2.
We're going to start in the bottom lane here. See if they can't get a siege going. Sneaky pot shots where he can, but Sven just sped up forward by the Karma.
We do have to remember the win that C9 got was the GA off of Haunter. It will make him more hesitant to dive deep, and Svenskeren does not have a GA either. Contracts does have his active.
Fairly low amount of magic resist from Haunter as well. So
on to Jensen.
Jensen finds him there. Smoothie's got to protect him as best he can. Haunter, they're all going to dive in. They do protect him, but Bjergsen does kill Jensen on the other side. Contract, the credit there for Haunter is Bjergsen.
Sneaky's doing so much damage here.
Going to reset it for TSM. Wild Turtle finds a huge ultimate to lock them down. Contract, GA is going to go down. Ray still trying to be disruptive, but TSM just want to fight with the Elder Dragon. Contract is looking to go down here, and Sven tries to leap away, but Sven finds it, gets the shutdown, but it cost him his life.
3 for 2, and it looks like TSM is going to have to back away. They wanted so badly to fight with that Elder Drake, but it makes them push too far, too fast.
The ultimatum there from Haunter, trading out his life. They get the kill on a Jensen, but Smoothie was able to keep him alive for long enough for it to not be a disaster. And with that, C9 should have actually lived through this Elder Dragon. Here's the engage again. Flash and cleanse do nothing for you when you're locked in like this.
But look who is so much faster to the plate. That's 4 members of C9 when about 2.5 are approaching for TSM. So while Hanser did see the pick, it was a little bit of a reach.
This kick threw everyone onto Sneaky. Watch Sneaky splash. If that Q hits, the game probably ends right there, as he would certainly have gone down. They would not have been able to have continued the fight. Key miss from Svenskeren.
And even then, Sneaky able to get the last hit onto Svenskeren, who was flying in to try and make a huge play.
Actually, the first death for Contracts, who has been having a very good game for himself, bouncing back. The rookie of the split jungler here in his first finals. Incredible amounts of pressure.
And so much of this game as well has been decided off of tempo. Who can control the waves? When C9 actually lost the tempo was when they allowed Hanser to pick up 2 turrets down on the bottom side. Right now, after all those dives happened, C9 does have the minion waves pushing and have created a little bit of control around the Baron area. You look at the gold, it's still pretty close. All of those plays TSM made were based around one pressure advantage they gained about 5 minutes prior and kept expanding that advantage. Now that C9 has won a fight, they have an opportunity to get some of that control back.
Well, now that we've gone past 45 minutes, TSM's hopes for breaking the record of fastest finals ever is over, but they can still sweep and win themselves a second championship.
Yeah, I think they'll settle for that if they can do it, but C9 fighting back the first close game of the series. If they could win this, it can get them so much momentum going forward.
And look, the obvious pressure point's about to start. Baron is up in 30 seconds. Elder Dragon's going to take a long time to respawn with that 10-minute timer. So, I mean, gold pretty even. Itemization, everyone's stocked up. We're going to have one big fight around the Baron, and if it goes horribly wrong for one team, the game's probably going to end.
Yeah, and as far as initiation tools, it's going to be relatively difficult for C9. Ray can land the Shark, but that requires generally a flank, and Jensen is the main initiator, but also one of the main priorities that TSM want to jump on. So TSM have the initiation from the Varus, the Ahri, the Lee, or the Camille. They have far more tools right here.
They definitely do, and I wouldn't be surprised if C9 want to play it a little bit slow, try to contest this Baron, but if you could get the death cap on Jensen before the final fight, as that 6th item, it's so important to be able to try to combo someone down, but TSM looking to force before he can do that.
Yep, looks like Baron is going to be started by TSM.
in from Ray.
Already in. Ray off to the side. Decent position.
Bjergsen jumped out.
Good ulti there. Ray actually going to go into Wild Turtle. Kick back there, but Jensen might be safe from that. Ray still tying them up. Gets Lulu ulting and gets a 4-man knocker with the GA. Finally popped in. They need to peel off for Hanser, and Sneaky does manage to get the kill. Svenskeren now going to blast that open. It's into Cloud9. 2 kills for nothing. GA popped.
If they can kill Svenskeren off again, they can take the Baron. This will be a 5 for 3. He goes down!
Sneaky able to get the kill. C9 straight to Baron.
Completely disagree with that TSM Baron call. They kind of let C9 get the flank on them. Now C9 trying 5v3 for the Baron.
Oh, the big summer
There's the zonies even. Bjergsen going to try and turn it back around. C9, look at that happen. There's Ray taking out Bjergsen. Turtle, he's going to go down here as well.
That could be the game. They could go right up mid. 4 down for TSM. C9 is going to try to run it down. We'll see if they can do it.
With the Baron buff, they need to catch the minion wave. It's actually in the top side. Biofrost trying to get rid of it. He doesn't have enough wave crew. That's 3 cannon minions in the wave.
He doesn't have any friends. He's got no one left but himself to try and defend with the rest of Cloud9. There's one. Inhibitor going to fall on the top side here as well. Wave is massive.
TSM actually did get the Baron, but C9 have the numbers advantage right here. Going for the win.
Looking for it now. Jensen doesn't quite get Bifrost, but there's one turret going down. C9 going to work on the second. With Hanser up in 3 seconds, but the Nexus will be exposed.
Too late.
Now ready to go. Nexus is there.
Hanser's alive.
Save the game. Looks for Sneaky, but the Nexus goes down. We have a series.
C9 right back in it. They win the fight around Baron. They take a game. And it's anybody's series here in Vancouver.
And not only did C9 have to recover from the game's 1 and 2 defeats, they had to recover from what was nearly a TSM close to the series. So the mental strength they displayed right here to regain their composure is huge.
The young duo, Ray and Contracts, both so big in this game for C9. Immense amounts of pressure on them. Contracts comes up big, and Ray, in that final fight, was pivotal. He was able to outlast Hanser, get away after coming back up with that GA, and that won them the fight.
Yeah, and even thinking back to very early on in this game, Contracts getting that early kill, it was pretty much his first kill of the series, did seem to give him that new sense of confidence. So the Contracts we saw in the semifinals made his first game appearance in the finals.
I have to continue to credit Ray there as well. His team was consistently playing up as 4 members towards that Baron side. He had basically no visions pushing on his own and created so many openings for Cloud9.
Yeah, I also do have to say at the very end of that game, we talked about all the tools TSM had. not a good Baron call, just 5-manning it right there after it had actually gotten scouted out by the Scrying Ward.
Especially when you don't have GA on your top laner, right? That is one of the biggest things in that fight. Ray comes back up after the death, and Hanser does not.
Well, now for an in-depth look at that comeback game from Cloud9, let's send it back over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Pace, for your time. And what a comeback win, not only in the series, but even in the game. It started slipping away. Cloud9 do get themselves a game win here. We're going to game 4. And it felt like so much went better here. The lanes actually held up much better, and the actual mid-game coordination now with actual goal to play with have kept up as well.
There are definitely still a lot of problems, though, as far as the 4-1 execution, a lot of the picks, initiation. I mean, this game got scrappy, and this was a game that was up against about as close as Cloud9 can come to losing this series, yet they fought back. So it does inspire a lot more, confidence, especially with Honori back here on the desk predicting their reverse sweep. They've started it off.
Yeah, I believe in the Pigeon, so I believe in Cloud9. I want to see the comeback. I want to see a game 5. And I'm happy to see Cloud9 do well. I think that game was a lot better. Ray showed his strengths on the carry champion. I think he got like a 1v1 kill as well.
Yeah.
He's playing really good in the team as a whole. Yeah, right here.
Yeah, this is the 1v2.
Oh, this was the gank. I think he should have held it either, but...
Yeah, so he gets killed, unfortunately. But he
comes back. Here's the 1v1. Beautifully played by Ray. Waits for the E, and boom.
Ugh. Yeah. Yeah, you can criticize Hanser, but he died at like 500 HP. Like, I wouldn't have thought he was dead to a single W. Certainly was, though.
That's the thing. There's a little surprise factor there with the Fizz
in
W.
There, W, Sheen proc. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, that was like 230 damage just from the magic damage that popped up, which is insane. And then he's able to get an earlier Trinity Force. Ray did play incredibly well this game. My only criticism of him, though, is he doesn't have a whole lot of proactive TPs during the early parts of the game to get his team ahead. He seems like he really wants to play for lane, and then all the TPs that we've seen from him in Game 1 and in Game 3 that were in the first 20 minutes are ones where Hanser is actually 2.5 seconds ahead of him on both of them to make bot lane plays. Only thing I really want to see from Ray Moore is that. I want to see him a little bit sooner to those TPs.
One thing that both of those plays did highlight, though, was the dodging ability of Ray. The mechanics on this guy, nobody can question those. Even in the one where he dies, dodges almost about everything. So he was really making Hanser work for those kills.
Yeah, and of course the other lanes were going better as well. I forget which one of you talked about it, but going back onto the mages for Jensen, he seemed to hold up much better on the Syndra. So that went well. I want to talk about bot lane because we had some 30 CS lead for Wild Turtle in Game 1 and Game 2, plus 15, plus 18 for Sneaky now. C9 finally starting to use the strength they're supposed to have in the bot lane, and what I feel like is supposed to be a fairly equal matchup, and they did well in it. Of course, Double's not here, so no one's going to back up the obvious bot lane.
I was like, I want to talk about mid lane again.
Okay, then yes, sorry. I wanted to introduce that all the lanes were doing well, but yes, if you want to go about mid lane, go for it.
Because what happened was they picked the Syndra, and then TSM answered with the Ahri immediately. It was pretty quickly locked in as well, where you expect Fizz, you expect Echo. You take Fizz there, Syndra counter, now you don't have a top lane Fizz to play into the Camille, right? If they see that coming, if you do the draft over again, hindsight's 20/20. But the Ahri isn't one of those classic counters that we've seen to the Syndra. It's something that doesn't get blown up because you can buy like an early Negatron, then you have enough sustain with the Gunblade, but then he's running something like Exhaust to prevent himself from dying. And so it's not really this aggressive or split push Ahri, it's kind of a mixture where you're going for some dual potential but really not trying to die, and it doesn't put pressure on Jensen. It allows Bjergsen to have, it allows Jensen to still have pressure in the lane, so it's not something like a Fizz or Echo where you're the one pressuring the other person. I feel like that was a bit of a failure from TSM in the draft.
Yeah, fair point. It might have been a bad mid lane pick, but of course it went the way it did. And we have one more replay to show, which is the climactic win for C9 here. TSM try the Baron, and C9 able to get over the wall and just completely stuff them out.
Yeah, in the end, this game did come down to a bunch of very big, high-pressure moment plays here, a lot of them around Baron, and this was the one where Cloud9 were able to trap TSM and pick up so many of those extra kills.
Yeah, everybody's running away with like blighted quiver stacks ×3, almost a complete sweep there for Wild Turtle in the fight, but he goes down, and you just said Sneaky, and I'll talk about that now. Finally, Freak, sorry.
No, go for it.
He did so much work in this game from a long range, but the one blunder that he had was the one where he got caught by Hanser. That's one that almost cost them the game in the Baron, but otherwise, he's carrying. He hit 6 items first. He's doing a lot of work in these team fights, and I think that Sneaky was definitely who they had to have their eyes on in these fights.
Right, when you do twice the damage of your opposing player, this game was close enough that kind of both marksmen had rights to dealing damage here, and Varus is plenty of poke there as well, and Sneaky did double his damage this game, so props to him for stepping up finally.
And that's the main strength that a lot of us were talking about for Cloud9 in this matchup, was the bottom side of the map. First 2 games, it didn't show up, but definitely coming in key here just when they need it.
Well, speaking of things that they may need, Cloud9 has gotten back to us with their side choice. They're choosing red, and just like we have seen throughout the series, it means Impact is playing, and it feels like Ray plays blue side, Impact plays red side. So even though Ray had a great game here on this Fizz, had some outplays, Impact is in for the side, it seems.
Yeah, I think Impact's the one who plays mostly the tanks on the team, and Ray's the carry champ. And on blue red side, you can't get the counter pick, so it's just better, or you do get the counter pick, but it's better for Impact to play this one. And sometimes you need the tank in the comp. When you have like a carry like Sneaky who can literally 1v5 late game as Ezreal, you kind of want to just get that front line and play like the late game fights.
It's really strange. I would think you'd want it the other way around, like I said before, right? Because you can get the counter pick and play like a top lane that split pushes and have a good matchup. But it just is kind of confusing to me because convention would say you'd want it the other way. But if they're running Impact on red, maybe they're looking for something like a Shen ban and trying to get some pressure that way.
Yeah, it seems to be what they're looking for. Now, Kobe, do you have one final thought to add, or are you good?
Well, I also think that, something that they talked about a lot with Impact was, the shot calling that he does bring to the team. He talks very, very frequently for them. We'll see if that does become a factor. First things first, though, have to handle that laning phase versus Hanser.
All right, we'll see if they can handle the laning phase and if they can handle the mid game as well. C9 still up against the ropes, and we will be back with Game 4 of the explosive series. Do not touch that browser. We're watching the NA LCS Finals.
Coming. Oh, careful. Listen here. Listen here. You can fight. He's flanking us. You can fight. I'm okay. I'm on the way. I'm fine.
Kill me, Sin.
He's polymorphed. Nice. We can fight. Watch Camille. Watch Camille on the side.